All right, let's go over the summaries of chapters or books 5 to 8 in Marcus Aurelius' book Meditations. This is Stoicism 101. I'm going to break down some concepts that Marcus Aurelius talks about. And 5 to 8 chapters are mainly concerned with resilience. And I'm going to tie this concept of resilience to a, a Japanese Zen concept in martial arts, which is called Fudoshin. Fudoshin basically means the immovable mind. It's kind of derived from Miyamoto Musashi, who is the best swordsman of all time in Japanese history, um, and he wrote a great book. He wrote several books. One of the books he wrote was the Dokkodo. Dokkodo is the path of solitude, and I'm gonna make a whole different video on that. But essentially, sometimes resilience comes at the cost of being alone, and that's fine. That's okay. Okay, so I'm going to bring in some quotes from book 5. He says, "Stop being pulled like a puppet by every impulse. Learn to control the mind." He's essentially saying you're going to have societal pulls. You're going to have family pulls, friend pulls. You're going to have all these different types of external pulls to them, but you should learn to restrain yourself. Restraining yourself within yourself means sometimes to be alone, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're opposing society. It doesn't mean you're being antisocial. It just means that you're content with yourself. And resilience ties into this because um, sometimes you're going to go through challenges in life and people will leave you. Sometimes you'll go through breakup. Sometimes you'll lose a job. Sometimes you will have difficulty with a coworker. In any case, resilience is the ability to be immovable. This concept of Fudoshin is to be grounded in yourself and to accept who you are and what the world is giving you. That's this concept of resilience. The Buddha kind of connects this theme into his book, the Dhammapada, as well. He says, "A disciplined mind brings happiness. An uncontrolled mind brings nothing but suffering." Dhammapada, verse 36 and 42. So, what he's trying to say here is that discipline equals happiness. That's it. It's that simple. When you train your mind to constantly seek challenges, not run away from them, of course, everyone knows that, but no one actually practices it because they are too much in love with comfort. Our world today is focused on comfort and materialism and pleasure. But in it, if we try to push ourselves, a lot of people go to the gym. Why? Because they're guilty about being lazy. Sometimes people will actually go to the gym because they actually want to work on themselves, and that's fine. But if you apply that same philosophy of going to the gym to your mental practice, is wherever you are out in the world, whatever you're doing, you push your mind to be stronger. Just like you push your body in the gym, you push your mind to be stronger out in the world. How do you do this? One of the best ways to put in discipline is thinking outside the box, taking a step ahead of what you are comfortable with. And that's where resilience starts to build up, is that you train your mind to always be a step ahead of comfort, and naturally over time you kind of just become stronger over time. um, and one of the key aspects of doing this and being more resilient is to have no preferences. So Marcus Aurelius writes, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Essentially, he's saying, have no preferences. Friends and enemies are equal to him. But essentially, if you treat your enemy the same way they treated you, you are following into their same footsteps. You're not getting any ahead. He says, you know, essentially that challenges in your life are your friends. And if you get troubled by them, you're not getting better than them. The whole point of having challenges in your life is to improve yourself, to become a better man or woman than you were yesterday. And so by being troubled or by getting upset and angry and agitated and kind of pushing that anger into other people or that situation doesn't really solve anything. It just, you act out of emotion. Whenever you act out of emotion instead of intelligence, that's when you suffer. He says, remove your judgment and you have removed the thought, I am hurt. This is very important. This is basically saying anytime you think I am hurt, you're basically saying that this person or this situation has judged me in some way and has belittled me, which is completely, utterly false. Okay? That is a projection of your mind. I'm not saying you're delusional. I'm just saying your mind is filling in gaps where it doesn't need to. So essentially, when you remove judgment, when you look at each and every person and situation as an opportunity to grow, then you just see objective truth. You don't see subjective reality, which is turned by emotions. You see objective truth. This person said something to me, and it was something about me that I made a mistake. That's fine. I will take that information and I will change it objectively, not make a whole subjective mess about it in my mind and catastrophize it in my mind. Instead, I'll just objectively improve on it. So, ultimately, book 8 kind of finishes all this and says, do not be heard complaining, not even to yourself. Do not be heard complaining, not even to yourself, essentially says, we're not working on our minds to make someone proud, to show off, or to be better than someone else. You're working on yourself so that even when you're alone by yourself, there's not a single trace of guilt. There's not a single trace of regret for who you are. That is why we work on discipline. And that is why we work on ourselves. Is that, you know, even when you're alone, you're not complaining about anything. You are content in your body as it is at this very moment. And that is the ultimate pinnacle of resilience, is that you're calm and composed with everything, even when you're by yourself. So that was kind of chapters 5 to 8. We talked about resilience. We talked about the idea that you should not be a puppet of your senses. You should be able to control your mind. Then we talked about the aspect of Fudoshin, which is the immovable mind of the samurai. Look into Miyamoto Musashi if you're interested in that. His book Dokkodo, which I'll make a video on. And then ultimately realizing that resilience comes from seeking challenges rather than waiting for them. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.